Okay, it is time for the 2-week check-in and readjustment for my nutrition plan. So every 2 weeks I want to take a look at my numbers, at my nutrition plan, seeing if that's matching up with the workouts that I'm doing and getting me going in the right direction. So my goals over the next little bit is to gain more muscle, which means I need to make sure that I am in a nitrogen positive state, which means high protein and lots of sleep. To be able to let my body rest and grow. But I want to also be in a caloric deficit overall so that I am burning fat or at least staying at a constant from a fat perspective. So that means I need to make sure that I am at a caloric deficit during an average of a week of what's going on with my body. And that should, if I calculate everything correctly, get me on the trajectory of what I want to do. So as a recap of what I've been doing, so I have been eating more on the days that I work out to make sure that I've got enough energy to be able to do the workout. And so the trick that I'm trying to figure out is how many calories is that actually going to be that will help me grow, but not be too much, and where I'm actually gaining weight in fat, which I don't want to gain. So I have been on workout days, which are my high carb days. So those are 4 days a week. I am taking in 2,400 calories into my diet. One of the previous videos will show you kind of the breakdown of protein, carbohydrates, and fat for that. And on my low carb days, meaning my days that I am doing cardio or I am just have a full day of rest, I have 1 day a week where it's a full day of rest, I was taking in 2,000 calories into my diet. So from a 2-week result in this, and this is where my inner nerd comes out in my spreadsheet geek, I have been taking average daily measurements. So every single morning I get up, I have a pee, go to the washroom, and I measure myself on my scales that measure body weight. They measure percentage of body fat and also percentage of muscle mass in your body. So whether or not they are 100% accurate as far as the percentages are concerned is not really a concern of mine. I just need to be comfortable that they're at least consistent, that it's a consistent calculation that they make with your body, because it's really just a tool for me to be able to see what's happening day on, day off. So for 2 weeks, I have been writing down my numbers and calculating my averages to see what the difference has been in there. So the differences happened over 2 weeks has been a plus 6 pounds, which was great. I've been trying to gain weight back compared to when I was trying to shred some weight off when I was trying to do the 250K challenge. However, the bad news on this was that 2.7 pounds of that was fat, 1.7 pounds of that was muscle, and 1.6 pounds of that is just other. So that could just be consistently here that I'm actually putting more food in my system, so I actually have more food in my intestines and everything like that in my stomach from just processing the different food. But my main two numbers that I'm really trying to track are the fat and the muscle and how much is in there. So a good indicator showing as well that things are kind of not going in the direction that I wanted is in that 2 weeks gained nearly an inch on my waist. So looking in the mirror, I've been kind of thinking, I don't quite look as trim as what I did before. But I have been putting on weight, which is good, again, where I want to go. But I would much rather have seen these two numbers switched around or my body fat percentage staying constant. So that's kind of where I now see what's going on. Now, one of the things that might throw this average number off a little bit is, well, Easter weekend, I took a little bit experiment just to kind of see what would happen, because I know I was going to eat squares and desserts and all sorts of wonderful things, which were delicious. And thanks, Mom. They actually were really, really good. She cooked gluten-free treats for me, and I really, really enjoyed them. So I'm taking the weekend, I'm not worrying about it. The funny part was when I weighed myself on the Saturday morning before I left, and I weighed myself the Monday morning after the weekend, there was a 4-pound difference between those 2 days. Now, it's just an anomaly, right? And that totally adjusts itself out over time. But it was kind of funny just to see the difference in the amount of eating that you make and inactivity, because those 2 days I didn't really do much exercise at all, was just kind of chilling out and spending time with the family. So it's really interesting to see how your body reacts to different things that are coming along there. So What I am planning on doing is making a couple adjustments to my caloric intake. So I'm essentially going to drop down 100 calories from each of my targets. So if my high carb drops down to 2300, my low carb down to 1900, and we'll go for the next 2 weeks to see how it affects these different numbers. Does this go down? Do I continue to gain? Do these numbers change? That's going to be something that's be interesting to take a look at. So in general, across the entire week, what I'm doing here is I've got a 100 calorie difference per day that's going on. So in a week's time, I'm at a 700 calorie deficit compared to where I was for the first 2 weeks. So if I keep my exercise consistent and my workout regime of what I'm doing, it'll be interesting to see how just that slight adjustment in calories affects anything, if any. So that's the check-in. 2 weeks in, making some gains where I want to, gains where I don't want to. And so we're going to readjust, run for 2 weeks, and see what happens next. So it's going to be interesting, and I will keep you posted to show kind of how these small increments and calculations could affect your diet, your fitness plan, and seeing how playing with numbers can make differences.